An easy swap, that nose cone. Not cheap, obviously, a new nose cone for an Oracle 03, but so that, and indeed the number 7 car is unfortunately going on the Dolly Jacks. The debut has not gone totally smoothly, and they will now cede any chance of victory or worrying Audi. But obviously, it's, I suppose, in a way, whilst it's better if it's the test day, it's better this happens today than on the third weekend of June.
And of course, temperature is one of those things that it's hard to test for, but it is one of those things that can cost you dear at Le Mans. And when I say Peugeot, I mean Peugeot. You only have to ask Peugeot because it was temperature which really did for them in 2010 when we had the embarrassing engine blow-ups.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do other than go out and use the conditions as you have them. At the front of the field, the battle between Di Grassi and Fessler is down to a tenth of a second. In P2, it's Perez Compang, as we said, in the 49, but then Alex Brundle has just gone through. I was about to say, I wonder whether this will happen this lap, and Alex Brundle drives his way into second position in the 24 Morgan Nissan.
And as you say that, the change happens in P1 as well, overall lead, because Lucas Di Grassi brings the Audi into the pits on schedule, 20 laps completed on his stint, and this should be a full service for the number 3 car. Lucas Di Grassi should be handing it over to Oliver Jarvis.
Yes, indeed, I can see Ollie Jarvis getting interested. Having said that the 28 car hadn't got anyone's way, the Golf Lola. In fact, as the number 3 came in, one of the mechanics did get in his way, and he was walking very slowly.
I just watched exactly that and wondered who it was, and thought it might be the Gulf Racing member of the team, but that will not go down well, I don't think, Nick, because that was pretty close.
It was. I mean, he had to take avoiding action. The guy who was obviously wasn't moving at full speed because he already has one injury, and he got very close to getting a second injury by being, having a lang tail, and I think he felt the extra 5.5 inches that hit him, I must admit. But the service is going absolutely standard for the Audi. The tyres are going on now. Ollie Jarvis inside. It'll drop off the jacks any second, and it should be away. The final tyre going in, drop and gone. And I'm going to go a quick look at the number 26 car, which was pushed back into pits after Rusinov. They didn't just replace the nose. And just having a look round the side here, are they having to do any serious... Rusinov stayed in the car, and they are doing a top and bottom nose change, and they're also doing the left-hand front of the side pod as well.
Okay. Well, the work that we know has gone on for the number 7 car to become a more serviceable item this year will be proven in race conditions, it seems. Whether or not the car actually comes out, plenty of work going on. Let's watch the car right now. Meantime, the sister car, the older car than brake car, 3rd position overall, courtesy of that stop just now for the number 3 Audi. 35.2 is the fastest first sector of that car's race so far for Anthony Davidson. He's got a 32-second deficit though behind Adam McNish, who's motoring along.
13 changes of lead in the race thus far, and every prospect of more, because although we've lost that Toyota, still in the garage. No, it hasn't. It's rejoined, hasn't it? The number 7 Toyota. Yes, it has. So the although it's rejoined, it's fallen back off the lead lap. And it does mean that the race is still close, and the lead is still being shared between the 3 Audis, 1, 2 and 3, who kind of just take turns in leading whenever the other one makes a pit stop. Their lap times are certainly comparable. Oliver Jarvis just getting up to speed in the number 3, but from what we've seen thus far, McNish a little bit quicker on the last lap than Fessler, but separated by half a minute from him. And as I say, it's really just a case of how the race pans out as to whether or not that puncture which befell Trellier earlier in the race will have a significant impact or not.
The definitive story from Alistair Moffat, thank you. The 7 car is having the Toyota energy recovery issues because the rear brakes are overheating. And so not just the brakes that's the issue there, but also because of the integration of the hybrid system. We've said this before, Paul.
Yeah.
It's not a bolt-on, bolt-off system. You cannot
No,
have
no.
one without the other.
And it's very difficult to actually get the
Stop, Ali.
balance right, so that you take the energy, because you take the energy off the rear brakes in order to feed the energy back onto the rear brakes, but you need to take enough energy, but not all of the energy.
Nick?
John, if we grab a quick word with Kazuki himself up here. Kazuki, that's not a good end to that stint, is it? I mean, what caused the car to have to come back in the pits a couple of times?
Well, I don't know exactly what was the problem yet, but it's something related to the, brake system or something, but yeah.
So was that manifesting itself as a handling imbalance or just alarms on the dashboard?
Again?
Could you see the problem? Was that ruining the handling, or was it just you getting alarms on the dashboard?
Put the alarm on the dashboard, and I had a funny car balance as well, so yeah.
Thanks, Kazuki.
So 300 kilometers an hour, 186 miles an hour for the number 1 Marcel Fessler Audi. And we've got a quarter of an hour before we go to the next hour. And Kaz Nakajima are about to have a word in Vision as well. For those of you watching the TV pictures, Louise Beckett has made her way down to Toyota.
Kazuki just talking to his team now. See if I can interrupt him. Kazuki, for a moment. Let me move round. We can see the issue. Tell us what the problem is.
I don't know yet exactly what was the problem, but we just found the alarm on the steering, and it's something related to the brake system, but I don't know.
This is not what we want. I suppose it's better it happens here than in Le Mans.
Say again?
This is not what you want for the new car, but this was your test. It's better here than Le Mans.
Yeah, for sure. We are still in a preparation to Le Mans, so well, yeah, it's better to have problem now rather than having it in Le Mans.
Sure, we might get the bottom of that today, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I missed when the car is still in the garage being worked on, and it has been there already for 8 minutes, John.
Black and white flag for 96. Have we spotted that
I think
one?
we'll add that one to the list. Meantime, Anthony Davidson posts the fastest lap of the brake cars race, but perhaps part of the tale here is that the 2 cars ahead of it both lapped quicker, and it's not their fastest lap.
And also Anthony on his way into the pits, not into his pits as such, but he's light on fuel now. He's on his 104th lap, and I reckon he's got fuel for 106 laps. So again, just a lap and a bit left in the tank for the number 8 Toyota, but the fact that it's a light car will be helping him.
One other quick thing to note, we did say that Christian Poulsen was rapidly gaining on Roll Goethe. That pass was made some little while ago, so the order is still Ferrari, Aston Martin, but the order reversed now between the 95 and 96 Aston Martins. 95, the old Danish crude car, with the young driver Shapeand, is now up into 2nd position in the class. And just looking to see if we've got a gap there. We don't at the moment, but it's a pretty hefty one back to the Aston Martin.
Well, the 26 car has just rejoined after a new nose, a new side pod, and also for some reason a bit of a fiddle with the rear wing as well. So whether they've done a slight setup change, but Roman Rusinov stayed on board because obviously he has to do a minimum amount of time as the gentleman driver. So he will carry on going until they can replace him. He was tripped over then on the pit wall. And yeah, lots of programs of carbon and dust littering the floor of the 26G Dive Racing pit.
8 minutes and 49 seconds spent in the pit lane. I can't understand why you don't like that those Porsche colours. Anything with red, white and black on the roof looks great to me.
That may be why I don't like it, John.
It's got a big 50 on the roof for the 50th anniversary of Porsche.
Quick question here, which is we saw Alan McNish in the car with 2 hours and 25 minutes remaining in the race. Are we going to see Alan go to the end here?
Possibly, although I would expect not, but possibly. You never know. He's a bit of an Iron Man sometimes, isn't he?
He's got a sniff of victory and not want to be
Oh,
prized out of it, I tell you that. The points...
As indeed we saw last time out.
Well, exactly. The point situation at the top of the driver standings. And remember, it is a world championship for drivers. Let's not forget that. And whatever we think about anything else, as we're watching Anthony Davidson taking the Formula One line through program, which involves going out of the circuit, getting his pass re-stamped and coming back in again, apparently. It's a very long deviation there as he went off the track. Yeah, you know, let's not forget, these guys are all hard professionals, but a world championship,
Oh no,
it's a world
it
championship.
absolutely means something. You know, yes, there's a Le Mans win in prospect for the best potentially of these 5 crews, we would think. But World Championship will do it as well, and Alan Manish has shown that he's capable of doing that too, because 2:01.915 takes a full 5 seconds out of Marcel Fassler last time around. We presume Marcel delayed in traffic there, but 5 seconds, a mighty chunk bitten from that lead.
Romain.
Can I just mention
Oh, yes,
an issue for, or at least not an issue, it's a penalty for car 28. This is going back to the safety car, which is quite some time ago. We're still waiting for other penalties to be resolved, as we see car 57 has been warned for track limits at turn 4. Add that one to the list. It's car 28.
It's bad news for 28 because that will drop it from last position to last position. Keiko O'Hara still circulating in the 28 car.
She wasn't in it at the time, of course.
She wasn't in it at the time, but they've not had a very good race, have they?
No, I was just going to go to Roman Rusinov because he has to drive for a minimum of an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
They've changed the driving times around, so it's now different depending which class you're in. In P2, it's an hour and 15 minutes for your silver bronze type driver. In GTE, all the drivers must do an hour and 45 minutes. So, as I say, depending which class you're in, depends on how much time you've got. But they've also changed the rules again in the way that the stints are calculated, because if you're in the pits, then that doesn't count as your driving time.
Correct.
So the 8.5 minutes that Roman Rusinov just spent in the pits doesn't count at all. So he went out at 16:34 and then came back in again 17:09. So that was his hour. Sorry, it was half an hour of his drive, and he then has to do the rest from 17:09 up to well, he's probably got to do about another 10 minutes is all.
A number of people have tweeted at Specutainment and at Radio Le Mans to ask about the back of the Aston number 98 Bruno Senna's car, which is looking a tad oily at the moment, as we're watching a lock-up by
Leader
Perez Companc in the 49 PCOM leading P2 car. It is a fair point, actually. It does seem to be much dirtier in the middle section than any of its compatriots. Now is the 98 going through at the top of the hill at Les Combes, heading down towards Rivage.
Just to explain one quick thing that Paul was saying there, I'm sure there are new viewers and listeners joining in to follow the WEC this year, and we've got a further 20-second stop and go penalty